This Property Management Hall of Fame winner, she's been in the business even longer than me. She is so experienced and pulls off these sorts of miracles every single day, but this one is pretty cool. So this story starts when my client buys a 2-unit and it's got one apartment vacant and one apartment has a tenant in it. Often when we take these things over, we have to sort of get information about that tenant so we can provide them service. And when I met this tenant, he was an older gentleman, he lived alone, and I noted on his door he had some instructions seemingly for like visiting nurses. When I was in his apartment, I saw medical supplies, things like that, and I thought, you know what? We might need an emergency contact for this person. See, in property management and real estate, when you manage housing where people live, they die and other things happen. And I've just from experience known when you've got sick or elderly people in properties, it's best to have an emergency contact. To be clear, we have an emergency contact for all of our tenants, but those are tenants we rented to. This was a special case because they came with the property. So anyway, when I met this tenant, I said, hey, maybe I could get some emergency contact information, somebody in your family, a friend, a caregiver, somebody that I could contact if we ever needed to get somebody to assist. And this tenant said, oh yeah, I'll get that to you, I'll get that to you. And in retrospect, I reflect on it, he didn't ever get us that information. And so he didn't really have anybody as the truth. So anyway, this gentleman, he was a character. We had a lot of fun knowing him, and he always paid his rent very much on time. And then one month, the rent didn't come. And sometimes with tenants like this, we do send out late notices and whatnot, but we'll go an extra step and maybe check on their welfare. So we did a welfare check and we found the apartment empty. And of course, this person isn't answering their phone or their email or their text, and we were starting to get worried. But after 2 weeks, we had no luck finding this person. And so we finally decided we've got to find out what's going on here, because in absence of the presence of a person or absence of money being paid, it's our responsibility to help this client manage the situation. And that's where our Hall of Fame winner, Jen Rippey, comes into play. Jen went the extra mile. So she remembered that this gentleman worked part-time at a local pharmacy. And so she contacted the pharmacy and was able to find out that this gentleman had been out at like a convenience store somewhere and fell and hit his head on the curb. The ambulance came, got him, and took him right to the hospital. The people at the pharmacy didn't know what hospital and didn't know if there was anybody helping him. So Jen got on the phone, called all the hospitals, but didn't find our tenant. Then she had a fantastic idea. What would happen if there was somebody who went to the hospital, but they weren't able to go home? They would likely go to a nursing facility or like a nursing home or a rehab facility. So she starts calling rehab facilities, and lo and behold, she found him. And I remember she and I got in the car and went out to the rehab facility and sat down and met with our tenant. What was really clear is our tenant wasn't the same. And he was that kind of age where sometimes when you have an accident, dementia sets in. And it was a wonderful visit with him because he was such a character and so nice, but it wasn't a productive visit. See, our goal when we were there was try to get a hold of somebody in his family who could help manage his affairs, even an attorney, someone. Now, we were able to get the name of an attorney that he had worked with at one point, and after communicating with that attorney, we were able to get in contact with a distant relative. Now, the way this story ends, the tenant was not able to leave the nursing facility and in fact passed away. But because there was nobody involved, we actually had to evict the estate of the tenant. What was great for this client is that they had One Focus Property Management working on it, and Jen Rippey. She was able to find this tenant, come up with the resolution, and then orchestrate the transition of that unit onto the next tenant. I can't say enough good about how good Jen Rippey is at her job here and how she always goes the extra mile and comes up with creative solutions to solve these very real problems that our clients count on us for. Congratulations, Jen. You're a lifetime member of the Property Management Hall of Fame.